All right, guys, although canceling a credit card is a really simple process, the risks to your credit score would argue that closing it's not actually such a good idea. So when then should you actually cancel a credit card, and how will closing it affect your credit scores? Welcome back to the VIP Financial Ed YouTube channel. This is where we're all about helping you go further, faster financially. We talk all things banking and borrowing, and we talk about revolutionizing your strategies with how you're using leverage to create wealth. My name is Matthew Pillmore. I'm the president of a company called VIP Financial Education. We're a one-on-one coaching firm based out of Denver, Colorado, and we help people achieve their financial objectives in a small fraction of the time. In today's training, we're going to be talking about the risks associated with closing one of your credit card accounts and whether or not there are really any justifiable reasons to do that. So should you cancel a credit card? That's the question that we get a lot on this channel. And we understand why it's such an important question. As time goes, you may find yourself with several credit card accounts, some of which might not even be used or have never even seen activity or haven't seen activity for a long time. So it seems as though closing that account might make sense or just make life easier. But the truth is that closing a credit card account just to simplify your life isn't a reason that we'd recommend. So we're going to give you some alternatives to closing a credit card at the end of today's video. However, there are three main reasons that we would consider closing a credit card account. The first reason is for couples that are going through a divorce, and this one seems pretty self-evident to me. Any of the joint credit card accounts are going to need to be canceled, and the balances are going to need to be addressed through the divorce settlement or the decree. The second reason that we would consider closing a credit card account or considering it justifiable is that it might have something to do with spending habits that are just out of control. So if you're not really comfortable controlling your spending habits, if you're consistently maxing your credit cards out, then it might be time for you to cancel that account until you can responsibly manage your credit. And this is a point that educators like Dave Ramsey make all the time. Dave Ramsey is notorious for teaching consumers to close their credit card accounts. And while that advice is certainly applicable and really powerful advice for those who struggle with fiscal responsibility, the rest of us actually benefit significantly by keeping our credit cards. So make sure that you determine the type of person that you are right now. The third and the final reason that you might want to consider closing your credit card account is if you have a credit card with an annual fee and it doesn't fit your budget or it doesn't fit your other strategic banking plans. And if it offers benefits and you're not using it, then it might make sense. Now, this one is something that we would chalk up to wasting money. It has a wasted potential to that account. So there's no sense in continuing to be wasteful. If you're paying money every year and it's not being used, it's not benefiting you, then it might be a good reason to cancel the account. So how does closing a credit card account actually affect your credit scores? Now, it's not as much because of the other reasons, the other factors such as your payment history or the length of credit or the mixture of credit. The real effect is based on your utilization ratio. Any positive payment history associated with the account previously can still remain on your credit. You're probably not going to lose that. So you're still going to be receiving the positive impact from the length of credit or the mixture of credit. So the utilization rate is the main culprit in decreasing credit scores following a closed account. So let's say that you have 3 credit cards to your name and you're thinking of closing one of them. Let's say card A has a balance of $5,000 and a credit limit of $10,000. And let's say the second card has a balance of $3,000 and a credit limit of $5,000. And finally, let's say your third credit card, the one that you're thinking about closing, that it currently has a 0 balance and it has a credit limit of, let's say, $15,000. Now, the overall availability between these 3 accounts is around 30 grand, and the total combined balances that are currently being used in this example is around $8,000, or just under 27% utilization. Now, this is really good because, as we know, many of the credit formulas that calculate your credit scores want your utilization rates below 30% in order to reflect in your favor. I do want to point out that the absolute best utilization ratio to work toward maintaining month in and month out is 0%. Each and every percentage point increase to your overall debt to available ratio or utilization ratio is actually considered negatively against you and your credit scores. Now, if we were to remove card C from this example and it's a $15,000 credit limit. The utilization rate between cards A and B now jumps to over 53%, which is not going to be good for your credit scores at all. So now that we've talked a little bit about when you should and shouldn't consider closing credit card accounts and how it's going to affect your credit scores, let's talk about how to cancel a credit card. Before closing your credit card accounts, be sure to check your rewards or your point balances and then redeem them as much as you can. You definitely don't want to just throw those away. If you typically use your rewards for more expensive items like traveling, consider using your points for gift cards or statement credits instead. And basically just do whatever you have to do to make sure that those points don't go to waste. Once you've utilized your points and you're ready to close the account, all you've got to do is just pick up the phone and call your credit card company. The phone number is on the back of the credit card. You can also just do a simple Google search to find the correct and current phone number. But when you call to cancel, just keep in mind that your issuer is probably going to try and dissuade you from closing your accounts. And they'll do that through various methods like pointing out the potential credit score drawbacks that we discussed. They might even offer you better terms. Now, if the terms actually address your main concern for wanting to cancel the cards in the first place, then fantastic. You're actually going to get what you want out of this and you can keep your card and it'll serve you better moving forward. But if it does not, then you'll just move forward with the cancellation and the issuer will most likely send you an email or a letter and it'll require a response to confirm your request. Now, it's typically not necessary to send a certified letter to your issuer in order to cancel these accounts, unless of course the account is part of that divorce process. And then you're gonna want to receive written confirmation for your records. So the one thing you're gonna wanna note here, guys, is that when you're closing an account, you can actually close a credit card while still having a balance. You're just not gonna be able to add any new charges to the account now that it's been closed. So keep in mind that you're gonna be billed for that outstanding balance until it's paid in full. And that might seem pretty self-explanatory. If you do close an account with a balance, be sure to confirm how much you still owe with the issuer. Ask when the next payment is due, verify the payment schedule moving forward, etc. Listen, you should never open a credit card account and not turn on your automatic payments. Make sure your auto pay is always on to avoid the risk of accidentally missing. That's more often than anything the reason that we see people having a derogatory mark on their credit in the form of a missed payment is accidental. Something slips through the cracks. Keep in mind, it's always in your best interest to get in writing how much you currently owe, when your payments are due, just to make sure you're covered. Now, all that being said, it's in your best interest to pay off the balance before canceling your credit cards if you can. And this is going to ensure that you avoid the possibility of paying any late fees or interest in the future if you do happen to miss a payment. And the worst out of that would be obviously getting a missed payment on your credit. So to wrap things up, as I mentioned, there may be some alternatives to closing a credit card. And to tell you the truth, I touched on it in passing a couple minutes ago, but I'll take the time now to dig just a little bit deeper into it. And it's really about renegotiating for better terms. We're often asked by coaching members whether they should close their accounts because of this or that. And more often than not, we tell people to just call the issuer and renegotiate the terms so that you can actually avoid closing your accounts. You might be able to get significantly better interest rates in many cases by doing this as well. Now, in some situations, just by asking to cancel the account, you're going to immediately be offered better terms. And with little dialogue back and forth, you might actually find yourself hanging up the phone with a much better situation and relationship than you had when you made the call. One thing to note here is that being a good long-term customer with the issuer can also go a very long way. So if you've been a long-term customer with a good payment history, just go over what better terms might be available before choosing to cancel your credit card. Your credit score will thank you for it. Your long-term interest rates will thank you for it. Cost of doing business in banking is going to be much better for you along the way. So what has been your experience with credit cards and closing them in the past? Would love to hear about that in the comment section below. Did it negatively affect your credit scores? So please share. We'd love to hear from you. Also, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you're not yet a subscriber to this channel. Turn into a cash flower. Join the rest of us in our movement to turn the banks against each other and really come out shining on the other end as a strategic banker versus somebody that's out there doing this in a more passive way. By following the traditional approach to banking, you're certain to fall victim to the expensive costs that are involved. So guys, we really appreciate you being a part of our channel. Thank you so much. We do introduce new video content several times per week. So when you subscribe, make sure you hit that bell notification button so that you're alerted every time new videos are uploaded. Make sure you check out all the videos on this channel. Some of the longer videos, 35, 45, 55 minutes and above, often are going to start revealing the mathematics behind everything we're sharing on these shorter form educational tutorials. And guys, it just gets really deep and super, super cool. So really excited about having you here joining us. We'll see you on the next video. Until then, make it a great day today and take care.